What if I were to tell you the exact day you die? How would your current actions change? Would you live differently? Would you make different choices? Would you start prioritizing certain things? What if I were to tell you that your dream will die if you don't accomplish it within 2 years? How would you respond to that? So I'm turning 33 in a few months, and every time my birthday comes around, I always reflect on what have I done in life. Like, I'm getting older. I'm about to be 35, then 40, and then you always just think about the future, and I'm just thinking like, what have I done? What can I change to make sure that my next stage of my life is better than my current one? I'm not complaining. I'm not saying nothing is wrong with where I'm currently am, but you're always thinking about getting better when your birthday comes. We all have these milestone ages. Like, what do we want to accomplish by a certain age? You might have thinking at 21, I wanted certain things accomplished. 25, I wanted certain things accomplished. 30, I wanted certain things accomplished. And then you look up and then you're 30 and you're like, man, I didn't complete any of those things. And now I'm about to be 35 and now I'm about to be 40. You're always looking at that next stage of things that you didn't accomplish. And the reason why you don't accomplish these things is because instead of putting these things, these goals, these aspirations at the forefront, you procrastinate. You think you have forever to complete these things, and you don't. Every year is your birthday. Every year you're going to get older, and you keep pushing it off, pushing it off. And one day you're going to look up and you're not going to have enough time to complete it. And if you struggle with this, that's perfectly fine. I'm a retired procrastinator. I dealt with this forever, and it always tries to creep back up. So basically what this episode is going to do is going to help you get over your procrastination. Before we actually get into that, I do want to first introduce myself. My name is Jelan Abrams, and this is the Unknown and Talented podcast. So the first reason why you procrastinate is because of poor preparation. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. As adults, our time is very limited. We have our 9 to 5, might have kids, we have significant others, we have so many different things going on, and we're trying to balance our time. A lot of times we put our goals and aspirations on the back burner. More and more you procrastinate doing the things that you need to get done for yourself, you can end up running out of time. It's only 24 hours in a day. And you have to make sure you plan out that day, have it scheduled so you're able to accomplish everything you want to accomplish. And if you run out of time, you procrastinate, and what are you going to say? I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. So it's extremely beneficial to have a game plan when you're trying to achieve anything special. So when I think about game plan, I think about robbing a bank. That might sound crazy. I'm not a bank robber at all, but I love those movies. And the reason why I love those movies is because robbing a bank is a lot of strategy involved in robbing a bank. They're not just going there with their guns and just shooting. It's very calculated. So it's starting off with scoping the scene. So you're watching the bank, you're seeing how close the police officers are, how much security goes in and out, what days the money gets dropped off in the bank, what days the money's leaving the bank. You watch the traffic, which times to actually do it. So they're scoping the scene to know exactly when is the perfect time to rob this bank. And that's strategy. That's extremely planned. Because when you're going to rob a bank, you can't procrastinate. If you procrastinate on anything, you're going to get caught. So after these bank robbers scope out the scene, they think of different scenarios, what bad things can happen and what can they do if that bad thing happens. And then they go actually take action. But when they take action, they make sure to stick to the plan, because one wrong move, they can end up going to jail for a long time. And this is the same thing you have to think about when you're trying to achieve a goal. You want to make sure you get a game plan to achieve it. Because if your timing is off, you might not end up going to jail, but you might end up being in a state of depression, because this dream that you had in your mind, the dream that you had in your vision board, or the picture in your office or in your bedroom that you want to achieve, it's not going to come true, because instead of actually doing the things for it to happen, you're procrastinating, you're pushing it off for the next day. And every time you're doing that, you got to realize that you're going to be getting older. You're getting older every single year, every single day you're pushing it off, you're wasting your time. Because there's a saying, it's better to be ready for an opportunity and not get it than to get an opportunity and not be ready for it. So the only way you could be ready for the opportunity is by not procrastinating. Because when that opportunity comes, that's going to be a sad day when you're not actually prepared to achieve that. So make sure anytime you have an opportunity to take action, you take action, because that's going to end up changing your life. And speaking about taking action, the next thing that leads to procrastination is thinking that you need to be perfect. Perfection is not real. Nobody in this world is perfect. Thinking that you could be perfect is like thinking that you could run in the rain without getting wet. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you're walking, you can't avoid the water wetting you. It's impossible. And the problem with being a perfectionist is that we want to wait until things are perfect before we actually start. And then we never start. And this is why procrastination takes over, because we're waiting for that perfect opportunity to do something, and that perfect opportunity never comes, and we never do it. There was this case study in this book called Art and Fair. So there was an art teacher, he had an art class, and he wanted to try something. So he split the class into two groups. Group A is the quantity group. Group B is the quality group. So the way he actually grades his class is for the quantity group, he grades them on how many different pieces of pottery they can make in the semester. The more pieces of pottery they can make, the better their grade is. So let's say, for example, they made 50 pieces of pottery in a semester. They're going to get an A. If they made 40 pieces of pottery in a semester, they're going to get a B, and so on. In group B, this is the quality group. He wanted them to make one piece of pottery. That's it. This needs to be the best piece of art you can possibly make, and you're going to get graded on how great this piece of artwork is. So by the end of the semester, group A, the quantity group that made a bunch of pieces every single day, basically, they ended up having great pieces of pottery at the end of the semester because they were actually able to practice, learn from their mistakes, try different techniques. And at the end of the semester, they were trying so many different things, finding out what they liked, what they didn't like, and their artwork was spectacular. Group B, the quality group, by the end of the semester, their artwork didn't look that great because they were actually just trying to make sure that one piece was perfect. They had no practice. They weren't able to learn from their mistakes. They were just trying to make this one thing perfect, and they weren't getting the practice in. Practice leads to improvement. So even though group A's job was to make as much art as they can, and group B's job was to make perfect art, the actually group that actually continuously tried different things, continuously kept going, continuously doing it, they ended up being way better than that one group that tried to be perfect. So you actually learn by doing. So waiting until you're actually perfect is going to be a hindrance, as you can tell with this art example. And the last reason why you might procrastinate is because you just lack motivation. When your motivation is high, that's easy to wake up early to go to the gym. That's easy to make sure you're eating healthy. That's easy to start working on your side hustle. But when that motivation runs dry, you don't feel like doing it. That's when times get tough. You say, I'm not trying to do it. I'm not in the mood. I don't feel like doing it. And that's when you start procrastinating because you set that goal that you want. And just because you're not in the mood, you decide not to do it. And you can't let your motivation or your mood affect your actions. Anything worth having is going to be difficult. So you're going to have to get used to delayed gratification. You're going to have to get used to working out when you don't feel like it, working on that side business when you don't feel like it. Because even though you don't feel like it, you're doing something for the end result. You're so used to immediate gratification, things happening right away. And anything special you're going after, it doesn't work out like that. We are all addicted to dopamine. What dopamine is something in your brain that gets triggered every time you get a reward. So every time you get a reward, you get that dopamine hit that makes you excited for the time being. So let's say, for example, you get home from work, you're stressed out, like you're extremely mad. And then you go in the freezer and get that ice cream. Once you start eating that ice cream, you start feeling good. You start forgetting all about all your worries and you're in a great mood. That is dopamine. It makes you feel good for the moment. You got that reward, that instant gratification of that ice cream, and makes you forget everything else going on. And now you're in a great mood. And the problem with this thing called dopamine is that it triggers pleasure, but it reinforces bad habits. So every time you feel bad or stressed out and you're eating ice cream, now that makes you feel great. Now what that leads to is, bad eating habits. So now you're just eating ice cream every time you feel bad because this ice cream is gonna make you feel good. The ice cream is giving you that dopamine you need to keep going, but ice cream is not healthy, especially eating it every single day. And if you really think about the word dopamine, it has the word dope in it. It's legit a drug. So instead of actually accomplishing things, you keep returning back to that drug that makes you feel good for the moment. And that's the problem with drugs, is that people turn to drugs because they want to feel good. They don't feel great. They're in a bad situation in their life. And now they turn to that drug because that makes them escape. And that's the same thing you do, which you might not even realize. Every time you're running to that snack that you have, you're running to social media, you're playing video games, you're on TV, you want to actually feel good for that moment. What you got going on right now doesn't feel good, and you escape to these things to make you feel good. That's dope. That's drugs. So if none of those things affect you, find the dope in your life. Find the thing that you use to procrastinate on what you really need to go after. Find that dope and remove it from your life. So now that you know exactly what leads to procrastination, how do you actually stop procrastinating? So the first thing you want to do to get over procrastination is make a game plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You want to think about your goal you want to accomplish, and we want to break it down. So don't just say, my goal is to lose 20 pounds. You want to actually break that goal down to make it easy for your mind to digest. Because when you had a goal, you're not going to just go from 0 to 100 and get that goal. The way you get that goal is by taking one step at a time. And that's how you're going to break it up to make it easier for your mind to digest. Because if you just see the big goal and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, that's when it makes it easy to procrastinate, because your mind doesn't know what it's doing. So going back to that example of trying to lose 20 pounds, now you have to break down, what are you going to do to lose those 20 pounds? You might have on the list, I need to go to the gym. You might have on the list, I need to eat healthy. You might have on the list, I need to get 8 hours of sleep, right? Okay, so now we have that broken down into 3 different steps. Now we want to break down those 3 steps. So the first step is you want to go to the gym. How many days do you want to go to the gym? That's important. So let's say you want to go to the gym 4 times in the week. Okay, that's perfect. Now we want to break that down even more. What days do you want to go to the gym? Let's say you want to go to the gym Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, now break that down even more. What time are you going to go to the gym? You know what I'm saying? That's how you want to make sure you actually plan out what you want to accomplish. Because once you got it planned out and you got it broken down so much, it's going to be very hard to procrastinate. Because if you decide to say, I'm going to go to the gym 6 o'clock every Monday, you can't procrastinate on that, because you can't say, oh, I'm going to push it off till 7 o'clock, pushing off 8 o'clock. You made a goal, you made a mindset that you want to go to the gym on Monday at 6 o'clock. It don't matter what's going on, that needs to get done, because you can't procrastinate on that, because that Monday at 6 o'clock is going to be the step that you need to get to the big goal of losing that 20 pounds. So to get over procrastination, you want to make sure you make a plan, break down that plan into minor steps, and that's going to help you be able to accomplish that actual goal. The next way to eliminate procrastination in your life is to eliminate the mindset that everything needs to be perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. You definitely are not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. The person that's a millionaire that you look up to is definitely not perfect. And you can't wait until everything is perfect to take action. What I think about Amazon. You all know Amazon. You pretty much buy things and it gets to your house in 2 seconds. We love Amazon. But when Amazon was started, Jeff Bezos, he started that in his garage. He didn't wait until he had a great office, great employees to start his business. He started where he was. And that's the same thing you have to do. You have to start where you are. Down the line with practice and trials and tribulations and everything like that, you're going to be able to get to where you want to be, but you're never going to be able to get there if you don't start. If you want to run a mile, you got to start a mile by doing one lap at a time. It's 4 laps in a mile. You're not going to be able to run a mile if you don't do one lap. You have to at least start. So don't think anything has to be perfect, because nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. The only way to get to where you want to get to is start at the conditions that you're currently at. Because once you could start here and then you get better conditions, you're going to be able to continue, because this is where you started. So like I said, nobody's perfect, but you need to start. Start where you are today. And the last thing you need to do to get past procrastination is you need to embrace delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is extremely hard. We live in a society where we want it now. If we do something, we want the reward right away. If you do really good at work, I want to get a raise tomorrow. Everything is we want right away. We don't have the patience to actually go through a season of just grinding and just putting a bunch of effort in, and the next season we get it. We want the day we put in that work, we want the results today, and life doesn't actually happen like that. I remember when I was younger, man, my grandfather, every time I saw my grandfather, he gave me money. Every time. If it was 20, 10, whatever it was, he always made sure he gave me money. And I had that mindset of delayed gratification even when I was younger. So every time I got money, I didn't spend it on random candy or anything. I just saved it. I saved it until I got like $100. And I was just so happy to finally have that $100, because when you're young, $100 is a lot. Like $100 might not be a lot now, but $100 back then was when the dollar store was actually $1. You can legit go to the corner store. You can get chips for 25 cents. You could buy a bag full of candy for $2. It was a lot different. So $100 when I was younger was a lot. And I feel like I'm old even saying that, because like back in my day, but that's what it was. Back in my day, $100 was a lot. So I never actually just spend the money when I got it. I wanted that delayed gratification to say that I got $100. To be honest, I don't remember what I ended up doing with that $100, but it's just the story of just knowing that I was able to save that piece to get my goal of getting $100. So that's the same mindset you want to have. You want to always think about the bigger picture, that big goal that you have. You can be happy today with your little small reward, or you can be extremely happy tomorrow with the bigger reward that you have, because you actually were disciplined in doing what you have to do and waiting for that delayed gratification instead of that immediate gratification. So it's definitely something that's hard to do, especially with social media. Everybody says, I made 10,000 in 30 days. I did this in no time. Stuff really don't work like that. A lot of times those people are actually lying. They're really not making that amount of money in that little bit of time. And now you're comparing yourself, your 30 days, and you're not making 10,000. Now you're upset. Just know a lot of them are lying. A lot of them are not telling the true story. So just work on being super disciplined in what you want to accomplish. When is your time to actually get that reward that you've been working for? It's going to happen, but it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Just work and be patient. And that's pretty much it. That's just procrastination in a nutshell. I'll let you know why you procrastinate, and then I'll let you know how to get over that procrastination. So those are those things that you can use to be a better you and stop procrastinating. Like I said, I'm a retired procrastinator. I used to procrastinate about everything, push it off tomorrow. I don't feel well, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I don't feel good to it tomorrow. And then you look up, you didn't accomplish anything. So I just really hope this episode helped you. Hopefully you are able to accomplish those goals. Delayed gratification. So you might have to come back a month, 2 months, a year later to this video and let me know exactly what you accomplished, because like I said, it ain't gonna happen today. Or just let me know whatever you were procrastinating on before, how you were able to get over that. Leave that in the comments. Make sure y'all like, Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all rate the podcast. What I'm going to start doing is actually reading the ratings that I have on here. But if y'all don't rate, I can't read them. So that's going to be kind of fun. So hopefully y'all can start rating these podcasts, leaving some good comments for me. But that's it. That's all I got for y'all today. Again, my name is Jelan Abrams. This is the Unknown and Talented Podcast, and we'll see you next week.